You can feel it, can't you? That subtle unrest in your spirit, that sacred tension in the air. You didn't arrive at this message by chance. Heaven has scheduled this moment, and it's not to entertain you, it's to awaken you. Because what's approaching isn't just a change in season, it's a door, a sacred one. And it is near. You've been sensing the shift. The things you once tolerated are suddenly unbearable. The patterns that used to fit now feel like chains. You've grown more silent, more reflective, not because you've given up, but because your spirit is waiting on an instruction. That's divine timing at work. When heaven is about to open a door, it silences the noise first. Listen closely. This is that moment. There is a door coming that will not open by effort. It will not respond to striving. It will not move through manipulation. This is not a door you can force. It is sacred, and sacred things obey only sacred timing. That's why God has been asking you to wait differently, not in passivity, in preparation, because you are not waiting on a sign, you are becoming one. Everything that has felt delayed, denied, or disrupted was God refining your alignment. He did not forget you. He has been forming you. This door is not just about opportunity, it's about identity. When you step through it, you will not be the same. The one who crosses that threshold will carry a different mantle, a higher authority, a weightier call. This isn't about elevation for the sake of status. It's about fulfilling the next phase of your divine assignment. And here's the truth most won't tell you. Sacred doors don't open for the impatient. They don't open for the double-minded. They don't respond to half-hearted faith. They recognize obedience. They unlock for those who have remained when others walked away, for those who passed the test when no one was watching. You didn't survive this long just to be inspired. You were preserved for a release. That's what this is, a spiritual activation. Because the door you are approaching is not external first, it's internal. It begins with the decision to believe, fully and finally, that you were chosen, not tolerated, not explained, chosen. And chosen ones are never called to fit in. They are called to unlock what others cannot even see. So here is your instruction. Stay ready, not stressed, not scrambling, ready. That means your spirit is listening even when your mind doesn't understand. That means you're letting go of what you thought would happen so you can receive what God is actually doing. That means you are not obsessed with timing. You are surrendered to it. This sacred door will not wait forever, but it is approaching, and the closer it comes, the more distraction will increase. That's how the enemy tries to get the chosen one to miss it, not through destruction, but through distortion. He cannot close what God is opening, so he will try to divert your focus just before it appears. Stay locked in. There's no room for spiritual slumber now. Your discernment is your lifeline. Your obedience is your weapon. Your preparation is your proof of belief. This door will confirm what your spirit already knows. Heaven is not behind you. It's ahead. This is your moment to move in silent confidence, to walk like the door is already opening, because spiritually it is. And before we continue, I need you to act in alignment, like this video, subscribe to this prophetic channel, and comment the number 55 below. That number marks divine alignment, covenant, and a new beginning. If you are truly the chosen one, write it now, not just as a number, but as a decree over your life. Let us continue, because the sacred door is near, and there is more you must hear. You've been wondering why the pressure increased right as you felt closest to peace. Why the warfare intensified just when your heart started to rest. It's not coincidence, it's confirmation, because pressure always surrounds the threshold of transition, and if you are feeling pressed on every side, it means the sacred door is closer than ever. What you are facing right now is not punishment, it is positioning. Heaven is not testing your worth, it is proving your readiness. You were never meant to reach this moment unshaken. You were meant to arrive tested, trusted, and spiritually tuned. The resistance you're experiencing is the final proof that something holy is being set in motion. Don't confuse spiritual turbulence with misalignment. What you're feeling is not wrongness. It's weight, the weight of a new authority, the weight of crossing into something sacred. And just like any door of significance, there is resistance before entry. not to keep you out, but to make sure you walk in as who you really are. Chosen one, the days of reacting to every distraction are over. You don't need to prove your value. You don't need to defend your name. You don't need to explain your process. When the door opens, your obedience will speak for itself. And when you step through it, the silence you kept will become your loudest victory. You have not been buried. You have been planted. And this is the moment when roots become revelation. The enemy's greatest fear is not that you would fail. It's that you would finally see yourself clearly. Because once you recognize that you are not waiting for favor, favor has been waiting for you, everything changes. The lies lose their grip. The delay loses its power. And fear has nothing left to hold on to. That's why this moment feels so fragile. Because the enemy knows what you're about to step into. He remembers the covenant over your life. He sees the angels preparing the path. He senses the shift in your authority. He cannot stop it. So he tries to confuse you right before it comes. But clarity is your inheritance, and clarity has arrived. What's ahead of you is not just a breakthrough, it's a birthing. Something new is being released, not into your circumstances, but through your spirit. You are not just crossing into a new opportunity, you are crossing into a new version of yourself. One that sees differently, hears differently, walks differently. You are not who you were, and that's why you cannot return. The sacred door is not for the version of you that settled. It is not for the version of you that compromised to be accepted. It is not for the version of you that feared being seen. That version has already died. What remains is the refined version, the one God always knew would rise. So walk forward now, without needing applause, without demanding clarity, without dragging yesterday's identity into today's revelation. Walk as one who knows this door is holy, because it matches the holiness that's now alive in you. The reason your environment has felt unfamiliar is because God has already shifted the atmosphere before shifting your position. He always moves in the spirit before he moves in the natural. That's why conversations have changed. That's why connections feel strained. That's why old places no longer bring comfort. You've outgrown what was never meant to contain you in this next phase. God has been making you uncomfortable not to punish you, but to protect what he's growing in you. He's not just opening a door, he's preparing a realm of influence, authority, and assignment that cannot be entered casually. That's why the discomfort had to increase, so you would stop settling for what looks stable but is no longer aligned. You're not being called into more effort, you're being called into more discernment. The sacred door responds to spiritual awareness, not performance. If you try to bring logic into this moment, you will miss what is only revealed by surrender. Your instincts won't be enough here. This is where revelation must lead. Chosen one, do not be surprised if God closes doors you once begged him to open. What served you then would suffocate you now, and what you once called loss is now being revealed as divine protection. God doesn't just prepare the door, he clears the room behind it. What he's doing now is not subtraction, it's alignment. That's why some people walked away. That's why certain offers disappeared. It wasn't rejection. It was divine redirection. God is protecting your focus so you don't trade your sacred assignment for temporary relief. You weren't designed for crowd validation. You were designed for covenant fulfillment. You carry something holy. And holiness cannot be housed in anything that is half true or half healed. This is the hour of spiritual sobriety. No more spiritual shortcuts. No more rehearsing old pain. No more performing for people who were never assigned to your purpose. Your life is shifting from survival to stewardship, from waiting to walking, from hoping to hearing. You are being entrusted with access that cannot be explained, only obeyed. And the ones who walk with you now are not chosen by loyalty. They are revealed by alignment. This is not a popularity season, it's a purity season. God is stripping away every dependency that could delay your entrance through this door. Let him. Let the silence do its work. Let the separation settle. Let the clarity cut deep. Because what's on the other side of this door requires a version of you that refuses to be distracted, delayed, or diminished by anything less than divine. And that version is already emerging. There's nothing random about what you're feeling. The restlessness, the deep pull to be still, the sudden moments of grief for old versions of yourself. This is what birthing looks like in the spirit, not chaos, contraction. And with each spiritual contraction, heaven is drawing the sacred door closer. So, stay aware, stay yielded, stay holy. You're not waiting for permission, you're preparing for placement, and the placement is near. You've asked God for the door, but He's been preparing you to recognize the handle, because it's not just about what opens, it's about whether your spirit knows how to enter. Many have seen the door and missed it because they weren't spiritually ready to walk through it with weight. But you, chosen one, are being refined to enter with authority. This door does not open to passive faith. It opens to anchored obedience, not the kind that performs under pressure, but the kind that trusts when logic gives no answers. It's the obedience that doesn't need applause to keep moving, the kind that surrenders even the desire for understanding. Because true faith doesn't just follow signs, it responds to the voice. God's voice has been speaking in whispers lately, not because He's distant, but because He's drawing you closer. The sacred door isn't loud, it doesn't announce itself with chaos. It appears in stillness. It reveals itself to those whose ears have been trained in silence. The ones who know that divine direction often sounds like peace, not volume. That's why the warfare increased around your clarity, because once your ear opened, the enemy knew your feet would follow. But here's the good news. The resistance was never greater than your calling. It was confirmation of your authority. Hell does not fight what it's not afraid of, and hell is terrified of what you're about to step into, because this next move will not just bless you, it will break cycles for generations. It will shatter ceilings others were too afraid to challenge. It will unlock doors that aren't just sacred for you, but strategic for everyone connected to your purpose. This isn't just about you walking through. It's about what follows when you do. You are not the end of the story. You are the opening sentence of a new chapter heaven has already written, and that is why you cannot delay. You cannot get lost in nostalgia. You cannot keep rereading old instructions, hoping they'll change. The assignment has evolved. The grace has shifted. The next move is forward. There is a weight to this moment, a holy pressure, a divine urgency, not of fear but of alignment. It's the kind of urgency that comes when heaven has already moved and is waiting for you to catch up. You don't need another confirmation. You are the confirmation. You are the one God has been preparing all along. And now, the preparation must become movement. This is not a season of signs. This is a season of steps. Step forward when it's uncomfortable. Step forward when it's quiet. Step forward even when your hands are still shaking, because the sacred door is already open in the spirit. And now, your obedience is what causes it to manifest in the natural. Do not hesitate now. The time for waiting is complete. The threshold is here, and the future you've been sensing is not a dream. It's a door. The sacred door is not a destination. It is an unveiling. It reveals who you truly are beneath the layers of survival, striving, and silence. When God brings you to the threshold, it's not because He wants you to access more. It's because He's ready for you to carry more. This is not a reward for endurance. It's an invitation into embodiment. You've been faithful in obscurity. You've prayed through silence. You've stayed when others left. Not because you had the answers, but because your spirit knew that leaving would mean forfeiting something holy. And now, that holy moment is here. God did not forget your faithfulness. He stored it like oil. And this door is about to be lit by everything you thought was wasted. Let this be clear. Nothing was wasted. Every tear, every night of doubt, every prayer you whispered when you had no strength to shout, every yes you gave when your flesh screamed no, every moment you chose obedience over understanding, it has all brought you to this. What's opening now is not just access, it's authority. You are no longer just receiving, you are ruling. This door introduces you to the realm where chosen ones govern, where discernment becomes direction, where clarity births boldness, where favor is not chased but attracted by presence. This is the realm where your yes holds weight, where your presence shifts rooms, where what you carry disrupts darkness without needing to explain itself. Because when you walk in divine placement, you don't need to perform. You simply exist, and heaven moves through you. That's the weight you're stepping into. This is why God has been refining your perception. Because if you misread what's in front of you, you'll hesitate at the moment you were meant to advance. You are no longer being trained to ask for doors, you are being trained to recognize them. The moment your spirit agrees with heaven, the opening occurs. Chosen one, don't be fooled by how ordinary it looks. Sacred doors rarely look spectacular. They often show up as quiet opportunities, as sudden shifts in conversation, as a random encounter that aligns too perfectly to be human. The sacred door doesn't knock, it waits to be seen. You've been entrusted with eyes to see. So now is the time to walk with open eyes and uncluttered heart. No more rehearsing rejection, no more bargaining with God about the cost. You've already paid it in private. This is not about sacrifice anymore. This is about stewardship. The sacred is not accessed through striving. It is walked into through readiness. And you are ready. You are more ready than you realize. Not because you feel brave, but because obedience doesn't need to feel brave. It only needs to move. And you are moving. Every step you've taken in faith has brought you closer. Every act of trust has been a key. And now the final turn is near. Step forward. You are not walking into mystery. You are walking into manifestation. There's a reason your spirit has been waking up before your alarm. A reason you've been stirred in moments when the world around you is asleep. It's not anxiety, it's invitation. Heaven is marking you for movement, and the early hours have become holy ground. When the noise is gone, your instructions get clearer. When the distractions are removed, the sacred becomes undeniable. You are being drawn into alignment, not just for your sake, but for everything that is tied to your yes. Because this door is generational. It's not just about a breakthrough, it's about a lineage. What you step into will not stop with you. It will ripple, it will echo, it will unlock realms for those coming after you. That's why the resistance has been generational too. You've been breaking curses you didn't cause, battling fears you never chose, but God chose you to end what others endured. You are not just crossing a threshold, you are closing an old chapter for your bloodline, and opening one that reflects the blessing instead of the bondage. This is why compromise is no longer an option. You've tasted too much of the sacred to return to what's safe. You've seen too much of God's intention to pretend ignorance. What He's revealed, He now requires, and what He requires, He equips. So stop disqualifying yourself based on past hesitation. You are not defined by your delay. You are defined by your return. And you have returned. You've come back to the place of surrender. You've come back to the posture of trust. You've laid down your need to know everything, and in doing so, you've stepped into everything. The sacred door isn't looking for the one with the best plan. It's opening for the one with the clearest yes. And your yes is clear, not because it's easy, but because it's anchored. Anchored in trust that doesn't need details. Anchored in faith that doesn't need certainty. Anchored in love that remembers the one who called you hasn't failed yet and won't start now. The sacred door is where obedience meets timing. It's the intersection where everything that seemed separate suddenly makes sense. The delays, the disappointments, the detours, they all converge here. What looked like wasted time becomes divine setup. What felt like loss becomes leverage. What hurt you becomes holy. And here's the truth. What you walk into next will not look like what you prayed for. It will be better, because God doesn't just answer prayers, He upgrades perspective. He doesn't reward your faith with familiarity. He rewards it with fulfillment. So, walk forward now, not because you see the full picture, but because you know who painted it. The sacred door is near, and everything in you already knows it's time. You're not stepping into a new chapter. You're stepping into a new dimension, and in this dimension the rules are different. Timing bends to obedience, provision follows presence, and favor doesn't have to be forced. It flows. This isn't about building your own path anymore. It's about walking the one God has already carved in the unseen. What's coming next won't require your striving. It will require your stillness. Because the sacred door does not open through motion, it opens through maturity. The kind of maturity that trusts God's movement even when it contradicts your expectations. You're not being invited to hustle harder. You're being invited to believe deeper. This is the kind of access that makes no sense to the natural mind. It's the kind of opening that can't be explained to people who haven't walked your process. Don't try to justify the door to those who never saw the wilderness. What God is doing in you isn't for validation, it's for demonstration. You are becoming the proof, you are the sign they've been praying for. The evidence that God still speaks, still opens, still delivers, still raises up voices no one saw coming. You don't have to shout your way in, your life will speak, your peace will preach, your obedience will prophesy. That's why it's been so quiet lately. God has been stripping away the noise so the sound of your next step would be unmistakable. There is a stillness before sacred doors, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is aligning. This is that silence. Honor it. Don't rush it. Don't interrupt it with doubt. Let the quiet prepare you, because the next move will be public, but it must be rooted in what's happening in private. God is not building a moment. He is building momentum. The door you're about to walk through is not the end of your waiting. It's the beginning of your unveiling. Everything in your life is about to shift into place, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. The more you let go, the clearer the handle becomes. The more you yield, the lighter the door swings open. And the more you trust, the more heaven confirms, you are ready. You've been refined for this, you've been reserved for this, you've been marked for this. The sacred door is not a reward for the perfect, it's a summons for the obedient. You may not feel ready, but readiness isn't a feeling, it's a posture. And your posture right now, low, surrendered, expectant, is exactly what this moment requires. So walk with confidence, not because the path is easy, but because the caller is faithful. You're not walking toward the sacred door anymore. You are standing in front of it. Now breathe, listen, and get ready to step through. You are not who you were when this journey began. And that's the point. The sacred door only opens for the version of you that finally remembers. You were never chasing access. You were being shaped into the one who could carry what lives on the other side. Everything that tried to break you was under surveillance. Every delay had a design. Every limitation had a lesson. God didn't remove the barriers. He used them to reveal what was still brittle in you. But now, what was brittle has become unbreakable. You've been fortified from the inside out. You don't walk into this door with entitlement. You walk in with endurance. Because it was never about being the most qualified. It was about being the most faithful. And you have been. You stayed when it would have been easier to leave. You prayed when silence was louder than answers. You forgave when your flesh wanted revenge. And now, the realm of divine reversal is opening before you. Yes, reversal. What was used against you is about to bless you. What you thought disqualified you is about to distinguish you. What they said would limit you will be the very mark of your favor. God is not just opening a door. He is redeeming everything that happened before you reached it. This door is not only access to new ground, it is vindication. Not in a prideful sense, but in the holy way heaven confirms, you heard me right. You are not crazy for staying the course. You are not weak for feeling weary. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are and have always been chosen. And now the proof is appearing. This is where everything starts to echo back. Prayers you forgot. Words you released years ago. Seeds you planted in seasons of loss. They are returning now, not as memories, but as manifestations. This is harvest time, and the sacred door is the entrance to fields you've never even seen in dreams. But don't let the size of the blessings scare you. You're not entering as a guest. You're stepping in as a rightful heir. This isn't charity, this is covenant, and covenant does not expire, so breathe deeply, stay grounded, keep your spirit open and your heart light. The weight is not yours to carry anymore. The burden has shifted. This door doesn't add pressure, it releases it. You are about to walk into a realm where what once felt heavy now feels holy, where obedience doesn't exhaust you, it energizes you, where your past doesn't haunt you, it crowns you. This is sacred space, and you're standing at the edge of it. Chosen one, what you're stepping into now is not a moment of arrival. It is the beginning of divine responsibility. The sacred door does not open so you can rest in comfort. It opens so you can rise in calling. What you carry is not for decoration, it is for impact. and God is entrusting you with influence that must be stewarded with reverence. There are souls tied to your obedience, rooms that need your presence, chains that will only break when your voice speaks. That's why you couldn't be released prematurely. Heaven was waiting until your maturity matched your mantle, until your silence became saturated with wisdom, until your scars carried weight instead of shame. Now you are ready, not because you have no fear, but because fear no longer leads. Your decisions are no longer driven by applause or avoidance. You move by instruction. You speak by conviction. You stay when others flee. And you walk when others freeze. This is what spiritual authority looks like: quiet, unshakable, intentional. You're not here to impress. You're here to release. That's what this door represents. A release. Of purpose, of provision, of prophetic clarity. Everything that felt withheld was being held until this moment, not because you were unworthy, but because God's timing cannot be manipulated. It can only be honored. And because you've honored the process, the door has opened. Not just in the spirit, but in the natural. What begins to unfold now will not make sense to onlookers. It will seem sudden. It will appear unearned. But heaven knows how long you've been waiting. God knows the private costs, the sleepless nights, the sacrifices no one saw. And he is not unjust to forget your labor. This isn't karma, it's covenant. And covenant is activated through obedience, not optics. You've been obedient in the dark, and now light is breaking forth. Doors are unlocking. Paths are clearing. Heaven is responding. Not to your perfection, but to your persistence. So take your next step. Don't overthink it. Don't disqualify yourself. Don't compare your process to anyone else's. This is sacred terrain. Walk it with wonder. Walk it with reverence. Walk it like you know heaven is watching, and because it is. You've been faithful in the hallway. Now walk boldly through the door. What's behind it is not just better, it's divine. You are stepping into a space where old rules no longer apply. The limits you once accepted are dissolving. The ceilings you once feared are crumbling. The labels others placed on you have expired. What used to define you no longer contains you. You are not who they remember. You are who God reveals, and God is revealing much. He is unveiling the full weight of what has been hidden in you. The gifts that were muted by fear, the discernment you buried under doubt, the vision you almost abandoned because it didn't fit what was familiar. It's all rising now, because sacred doors unlock sacred identity. That's why this moment carries such finality. You're not just crossing into a new season, you're leaving behind an old one for good. There are mindsets you cannot take with you. There are patterns that can't survive the climate of your calling. The place you're entering will reject what once helped you cope. This isn't about comfort. It's about clarity. The clarity to know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to war and when to rest, when to release and when to wait. This is the kind of wisdom that only comes from walking through fire and coming out with gold. You didn't just endure the testing, you absorbed the training. And now your spirit carries strategies that didn't come from books or teachings. They came from encounter. You've encountered the breaking, you've encountered the refining, and now you will encounter the release. But hear this clearly. With every new level of visibility comes a deeper requirement of intimacy. You cannot afford to drift. Your prayer life can't be reactive. Your peace can't depend on circumstances. Stay hidden in Him, because only those who stay hidden can carry what's holy in public. This is not a promotion. It's a placement. You are being placed where your voice pierces through confusion, where your presence calms spiritual chaos, where your obedience disrupts demonic strategy. You've been quiet long enough. Now your life will speak and heaven will confirm every word. The sacred door is not the finish line. It's the entryway to a realm where you now live from promise, not pressure, from clarity, not chaos, from identity, not insecurity. Everything changes now, and not because you tried harder, but because you finally surrendered fully. What was blocked has broken open. What was stagnant has started to flow. What was hidden has been handed over. You are here, not because of coincidence, but because heaven never makes mistakes. The door is open. Walk through and never look back. There is a silence that settles right before destiny opens. It is not emptiness, it is divine stillness. a holy hush as heaven watches what you will choose. Will you shrink back into what was familiar, or will you step forward into what was always promised? This is not a rhetorical question. It is spiritual reality. The sacred door stands open, but it cannot be forced. It must be honored, and honor looks like movement. The kind of movement that says, even if I don't see the full path, I trust the one who called me. You are not being pushed, you are being invited. And invitations from heaven are never casual. They are sealed in covenant, activated by obedience, and sustained by intimacy. That's why you've been feeling the shift in your soul, because what God is unlocking now is not just circumstantial, it is structural. He's not just giving you new steps, He's giving you a new spine, a spiritual backbone that no longer bends to pressure. You walk differently now, not because you're proud, but because you've been prepared. And the path ahead is not smooth, because it is easy. It is smooth because it is ordained. The same God who sent you here has already gone before you. He has leveled the ground. He has hidden provision in unexpected places. He has secured favor on the other side. You do not need to convince anyone. You do not need to explain the shift. The fruit will speak. The outcome will reveal the origin. And when others try to make sense of your sudden advancement, you will simply say, God did this, I just said yes. This is where your life becomes a testimony, where your journey becomes a map for others, where your surrender unlocks doors for those who didn't yet believe it was possible. You are a forerunner now. And the sacred door was never just about you. It was about what would come after you stepped through. And now, the final release. Chosen one, pause and take this in, not just with your mind, but with your spirit. You are no longer preparing for the future. You are standing in it. The waiting season is complete. The refinement has done its work. The sacred door has not just opened for you. It has recognized you, and it will not close, because you are ready. Ready to lead without needing applause. Ready to walk in rooms where your presence is the answer. Ready to move with clarity, with peace, with assurance that no longer seeks permission. You are not looking for signs anymore. You are one. God has placed His hand on you not for decoration, but for demonstration. Your life now carries a weight that cannot be denied. You speak and the atmosphere shifts. You move and angels are dispatched. You rest and things align. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. Let everything behind you fall away. Let every version of you that had to perform please or prove die quietly in the light of this new day. You owe nothing to the past except the honor of outgrowing it. What held you then cannot hold you now. This door is not just open, it is yours. So enter. With reverence, not reluctance, with peace, not pressure, with full awareness that heaven has waited for this moment as much as you have. Every step you take now is not just a step forward, it is a step deeper, into destiny, into authority, into the life God always saw when He first whispered, "You are mine." The door is sacred, but so are you. Walk through. It begins now.